Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio on May 10th, 2023, and it's nice to have you with us today. We're going to have a nice conversation with good friends from COSN. Actually, we're going to, I'm in Maine, as most people know, but we're going to go across the country, to California and also to Washington State. And then we're also, as we have a guest from Lima, Peru. All right, and that's Jimena. We're going to be talking to all three of our guests, all education leaders in technology for their school districts, all right, about the latest COSN report on driving K-12 innovation. All right, it is global, and it's going to be a lot of fun talking to Chris and Kelly and Jimena. So I'm going to bring on my three guests in just a few minutes. We're going to archive the show over at ace-ed.org, and as you guys know, ace-ed.org is the home website of the American Consortium for Equity in Education. That's us. All right, we do a lot for equity and access in education, and everything we do at ace-ed.org is free. So please go over and enjoy our magazine, our online journal, which is called Equity and Access. You can see the cover over there. Just click on the cover. You'll be able to enjoy the current issue. All of the podcasts are over there. Links to our other websites as well about social emotional learning and also teacher retention and professional learning, some information on that, plus information on our Equity Awards program. We just opened it up for nominations this year. The early bird nominations are available to you now, so please go over, check it all out. It's at ace-ed.org. With the award, you'll be able to nominate your friends, your colleagues, companies you work with, et cetera, on all the good work they're doing for equity and access, making education available to all kids, all right, all kids, regardless of race, regardless of economic situation, et cetera. It's really important. We work hard to make the Equity Awards important, so please check it all out over at ace-ed.org. And without further ado, let me bring on my guests. I got three wonderful guests here. And I'm clicking through, it's circling here. So let me bring on Kelly. Are you there?
I am. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, Kelly Mae Vollmer. It's nice to have you here from Desert Sands Unified School District out in California. You're the superintendent. Kelly, tell us about your district real quick.
Absolutely. And again, thanks for having me. We're located, like you said, in Southern California. We've got about 27,000 students, about 34 buildings, and very involved in K-12 innovative work in our area, and super happy to be here with you this morning.
And where are you? What city are you in?
The closest city to us that people might recognize is Palm Springs.
I think they might recognize that, indeed.
I think so.
That is really cool. Is that where you are, in Palm Springs?
No, actually, I'm just a little bit, if you've heard of, which I'm sure you have, Coachella or Stagecoach, those are in my backyard. Yeah, so I'm in the city of La Quinta.
That sounds fantastic, and I've stayed at your hotel many times.
Good.
There you go. Okay? Thank you, Kelly. And welcome,
no
by the way, you're welcome here anytime. Chris Hagel, so are you. Hi, Chris. How you doing? I'm Larry.
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, guys, it's my pleasure to have you here. You're the Executive Director of Digital Learning at Peninsula School District in Washington, and I figured out which peninsula. You want to tell us about life on the peninsula, looking at Seattle and Tacoma?
Yeah, our district is named Peninsula after the two peninsulas. We actually serve two different peninsulas here in lovely Gig Harbor, Washington today. It's a beautiful place out here today. As you said, we're near Seattle.
Kind of a beautiful place every day. I have to tell you, it's a beautiful place every day, at least the days I've been there.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a nice week this week. We're a school district of about 8,700 kids, 17 schools. We're about 45 minutes south of Seattle. And if you've ever heard of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, we are 10 minutes across the bridge from Tacoma, Washington. So, yeah, sitting out here in the Pacific Northwest.
And I have to ask you this, and I know I think I'm talking on the wrong peninsula. You have to help me geographically. I've been to Port Townsend. Okay, where are you in relation to Port Townsend?
We are at the base of that peninsula. So you would go through Gig Harbor to drive up to Port Townsend if you're coming from Tacoma. And to get to Port Townsend, you would really from Seattle or anywhere on that side, you would take a ferry.
I did take a ferry, as a matter of fact. Okay, and I didn't realize there was that much. Yeah, there you go. I didn't realize there was that much south of me. Okay, when I took that ferry, that's interesting. Thank you, Chris. Okay, Peninsula School District. Okay, over again, right outside of Tacoma, Gig Harbor. I love the name of that. And now we have a really these two are great, who we already talked to, but we have a really special guest now calling in from Lima, Peru. Jimena, are you there?
Hi, Larry. Thank you so much for the invitation. What an honor to be part of this group. Yes, I'm right here. I got news
for you. We're honored to have you here, all the way from Peru. Jimena Nunez del Prado is the Director of Technology, and you're going to love this, everybody, as I did, the Director of Technology and Learning Innovation at Colegio Franklin D. Roosevelt, obviously the college named after the former president, okay? The American School of Lima, Peru, and I assume this is a K-12 school, but we're going to find out in a minute, where Jimena is the Director of Technology and Learning Innovation. Is it a K-12 school, or when you say Colegio, where are we on that level? Jimena.
Yes, actually, we have students from early childhood, so 3-year-olds, all the way to grade 12. We carry the IB program. We're a school with a bit over 1,500 students. We have 40 countries represented, being the international school in Lima, and pretty much an American school.
Wow, that is that is really good. Are there a lot of teachers from the United States there? Where are most of the teachers from?
Yes, we have a very good balance. I'd say maybe 50-50, 50% overseas, and we also have the other half is local teachers. So very internationally represented.
It really is, and I must ask, are the classes taught in Spanish, or are they taught in English?
Everything is taught in English. We have, of course, our lessons in Spanish. For the local population, we have 50%, around 50-60% of our students are Peruvian. Then I'd say a good 25% American, and the other 25-ish% is international. But all the education is conducted. In addition, we offer Spanish and French.
And what qualifies a Peruvian young person to go to the school? I'm just curious about this before we get into all the technology stuff. Okay, Jimena.
I think just the quality of the education. I have to say, it's such a wonderful place to work. I've been working here for 30 years, always in the technology department. I'm a mother as well of 2 boys in the high school, and I have to say I couldn't be happier as a mom and as a professional. This is a wonderful place to work. The quality of the education is, like I say, very, very good, and the people I work with, it's just like a family. This is a second home for sure.
It sounds absolutely wonderful, I got to tell you. And we don't know enough about the American schools all over the world, okay, when here in America. And that's why I wanted to ask all those questions. I'm sure the job you do for your young people and for your colleagues is absolutely fantastic. And, I'm so glad you're here, because when I work with our good friends from COSN, we're mostly talking to United States school districts, but COSN, thanks to Keith and his team, okay, have worldwide reach. And I know he goes all over the world to make sure that educational technology works for everybody all over the world. That's what COSN does. Okay, I always shortly describe it as the Educational Technology Directors Association. Keith Kruger, my buddy, has done such a good job over there. So the new report is out. I'm going to go over to Kelly now. Kelly, all right?
Yep.
In 2023, here we are, okay, driving K-12 innovation. Okay, this is a report from COSN, and I cannot say how important innovation is. We're all coming out of the pandemic, all right? And the pandemic told us that we need a few changes here and there, if I do say so myself. And we probably need more than a few. And that's what innovation is about, okay? And so I'll ask each of you. I don't know how to do this exactly, but I'll start with Kelly. Kelly, what do you think? How would you describe the big trends that are out there driving K-12 innovation these days? What's going on? What have we learned?
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I echo your sentiments. Right, we definitely need innovation in education, probably now more than ever. And the thing that we know about technology in general is that it's an accelerator, right? And so as technology grows and it advances, those advances come quicker and faster. Right? Yeah. So one of the great things.
By the way, everybody, how good this is. I'm not really here. I'm actually Chat GPT. Okay, they're just throwing questions at me. Right. I'm not really. I'm just an avatar. Okay, that's how innovative we are.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what's going on right now is off the charts, wild. Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Right?
I had to tell one of my stupid jokes. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's okay. It was a good joke. Yeah. It was a good joke.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think for the listeners that haven't read the report, I certainly would encourage them to do so. We've used it in our district for over a decade, and it truly informs our practices. And so one of the great things about the report is it identifies the biggest hurdles or the biggest barriers that we're facing as it pertains to innovation, and particularly around technology use and innovation.
Yeah.
But it also identifies the top 3 accelerators and then the top 3 tools or tech enablers. So it really gives you a look, and to what you said earlier, it's a global perspective because we have members on this advisory board from all over the world. So, things that were identified this year are things like some not new, like digital equity being a hurdle, building human capacity being one of the accelerators, and to your well-placed joke a few seconds ago, one of the tech enablers that the report looks at is artificial intelligence. So, yeah.
The only person who laughed at that joke was me and you. Everybody else was going nuts. There you go. I rest my case. It's really... It's just absolutely amazing what's going on out there. And, I find this interesting. One of the hurdles that we're talking about, and you just mentioned this a second ago, is digital equity. But here we are in 2023, all right?
Right.
And digital is just everything. I mean, everything is digital. The whole world is digital. The whole world is, all right? And we're still seeing a hurdle. It's not something that we can check off.
We're still grappling with. Yes. You are on my soapbox. It is amazing to me that we are still having this conversation around this being a hurdle. We have got to get long-term sustainable solutions across the board, or it just creates a bigger and bigger gap for equity for our students.
Without question. We're going to talk about all of this. I want to swing over to Chris for a second. Okay, Chris, first question. Are you there?
I'm here.
All right, Chris, first of all, is your superintendent as nice as Kelly?
Absolutely. But
okay.
Kelly's something special.
He had to say that.
I get it. Okay, so we know that. You can mention your superintendent now. What's that person's name? Chris?
Our superintendent, our superintendent's name is Crescent Barr. She's in her second year here, I believe.
Wow.
So
bless her heart.
Yeah.
That's great.
We just got brought her in a couple years ago. So
there you go. Thank you very much. A wonderful person, I am sure. Chris, tell me, we're talking about digital equity here. When you look at this innovation report, you're the Ed Tech Director for Peninsula School District in state of Washington. Okay, you see a hurdle where you are, and I don't know about your district. Okay, I don't know the economics of your district, etc. But do you still see a challenge with digital equity there? Well, what are the hurdles that you see in a district like yours? Just to start us off. If there are any,
sure.
maybe you've jumped those hurdles. I don't know. I hope so.
Oh, I wish I could say that we have. It's really interesting. As you guys were talking about that, I was thinking, and I haven't told the story in a little while, but we're 45 minutes from downtown Seattle. Where you're going to find some of the biggest tech companies headquartered on the planet. Amazon's here, Microsoft's here. We've got huge Nintendo, and Facebook has a huge preference. And yet still I have part of my district that is not served by high-speed internet. And so
I rest my case. I rest Kelly's case.
Yeah,
I rest Anita's case.
Like we're not very far from huge tech companies with huge investments in technology in our state of Washington. And yet I have, during the pandemic, we were scrambling because they're barely even covered by cell phone service. And so, we're still fighting today. And luckily, we spent a lot of time working with our county officials and state leaders to realize that, we've got the state and the county it's a fairly rural area in that part of the district. We're mostly suburban, but that part is pretty rural, and there's no investment by any of the broadband companies to put infrastructure out there. So we're the only people that own fiber in that part of the district. Our school district does. And so, digital equity is still a hurdle even in 2023, and it's probably 3 to 5 years before we're really going to see that even wiped off the map for us. So,
and think about this, and this is to everybody, Yamina in Peru, okay, Kelly in California, and everybody listening, okay. The fact of the matter is we are supposed to train our students in pre-K-12 to go into careers, whatever career there might be. But there isn't a career around anywhere, and I don't care if you want to be an automobile mechanic or a NASA scientist. You have to understand computing. You have to understand, you have to have access to everything digital. And we can't train the kids unless we do that. The United States in 1930, maybe 34, whatever it was, thought about that, and they put the TVA into operation so people in the rural South could get electricity. And so everybody could have, listen to me, electricity. Okay, well, digital is the electricity of the century. Okay, without I'm not saying anything new, and it's absurd.
Absolutely.
Absurd that a kid in I don't care if they're in Peru, I don't care where they are. Okay, they are going to enter a world where we are responsible for training them. We can't do that without the right tools. It's that simple. And Hamina, talk to me. Thank you, Chris. It's unbelievable. Hamina, talk to me about what you go through in the beautiful city of Lima with all this. What are the hurdles that you guys face? You folks face?
Well, in our wonderful Peru, I would say that all the hurdles are relevant. In Peru, the capital city, Lima has more. Of course, we have all the necessary services, and it's a very Western scenario. At our school, we're very fortunate to have many resources, and we have pretty good equity and broadband and connectivity at our school. But if you leave Lima and you go into the provinces, in the jungle, the highlands, and the rest of the coast, they lack even the most basic services. So I would mention broadband and connectivity would be a huge gap or a huge need in the country, as well as having qualified professionals and leaders in the provinces as teachers, of course.
Listen here. Same here.
Yes, regardless, and of course, inside the country, everything is linked to the endless government intricacies and caught in the politics, unfortunately, and it's progress and development, like in most countries, I would say. Yes.
Oh, no, we don't even mention politics in the United States. That never even comes up anywhere. That was a joke.
I know.
Right. That was a joke.
In general, regardless of any socioeconomic level, I would say that we have identified that the social-emotional learning, that piece is key, especially coming from the pandemic, when we've seen that the connection between the student, the teacher, the student to student, that is so important. So in terms of the accelerators, the social-emotional learning is key for us. And of course, nothing prepared us for the slap that ChatGPT gave us in February, and of course our students used it since last semester. So artificial intelligence is something we'll be talking about for a long time.
Yeah, I've been getting by on artificial intelligence for 70 years, so it's all right. We're good. We're in good shape. It's a joke. Yeah. That's my real intelligence. I wish it was artificial. Okay. You just brought up something that struck me, and you guys you're my friends from COSN, the Consortium of School Networking. By the way, COSN.org, in case you didn't know that. If you want to look at the report, just Google COSN driving K-12 innovation, everybody. Okay? And COSN.org, COSN. All right? But we're talking about technology here. We're talking about educational innovation. And Tamina, I want to bring this out. I want you to follow up on something. One of the I'm looking at it on my screen here. One of the accelerators, okay, that will help people get ready. One of the big mega trends in accelerating innovation in K-12 learning through technology, social emotional learning, which is interesting to bring up with the technology. Okay, what made you? I know it's part of the report, but you said very very quickly all about SEL. How's that affect the technology and the learning, in your opinion? Tamina, I'm going to ask each of you that. Okay, Tamina, can you give me that answer? You brought it up, and I'm so glad you did.
It's really about connecting with each other. It's about the 4 C's: collaborating, creativity, critical thinking, communication. If that's not in place, if you're not in a good place, if you're not able to learn, really, what can technology do for you? What can innovation do if you are not ready to sit in a room or do a virtual learning session, but you have social-emotional issues? And so I think we really need to give it a lot of importance, just like a curriculum for learning, the curriculum for being, wellness, for wellness for our students and teachers, of course. So I say that's like one of the basic things of a human being. Once you have your basic needs as a human, you are ready to learn, you're ready to interact, you're ready to discover, create. So that's one of the most basic things that we need to pay attention to.
Without question, if we don't build, if I may, a strong digital ecosystem in K-12, a lot of people are going to be very frustrated when they look for a job. And frustration and overcoming hurdles is part of social emotional learning. All this ties together. It's amazing. And, I was really surprised when I saw social emotional learning on the list. Chris, what about you? How did you see that as fitting in? SEL.
SEL?
Yeah.
It's really interesting how much
you have no emotion. You're a tech guy, So yeah,
it's funny. We've been going through some things here that are a little tough in the district right now, and my superintendent told me yesterday, it's no wonder that you've come over this because you're more of an analytical person and not the emotional guy. So yeah.
And I swear I didn't talk to her first. I swear I didn't even know her.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's interesting how intertwined social emotional learning has gotten with the work we do with technology. In our district this year, I've been doing a lot of presentations and a lot of work around digital wellness with students and with families and parents, and helping parents understand what is the true driver of some of the technology issues that they're seeing at home or they're seeing in schools. And it's not that it's the device necessarily, it's what you're doing on the device, and it's not what you're doing with the technology. And so, we're doing a lot of work on that, but we also are starting to have more visibility because of the technology tools into how students are doing, both mentally, socially and emotionally. And so, it's how can technology departments and technology leaders provide that data to the people that can really make a difference for kids. And so getting some of these things in front of our counselors or in front of our administrators and even some of our teachers, saying, hey, it looks like from the things that these kids are doing digitally, they could use some conversations. They're struggling. They need help. Can you help find them resources? And so that's one of the things that, it's one of the reasons that's here and one of the things that technology is transforming into, being able to provide those resources.
I'm glad. Just one question. Were you surprised when you saw it? I'm going to ask Kelly the same thing, but I'm just curious, Chris, were you surprised when you saw SEL pop up as an accelerator?
No, I think through the conversations we had as part of the board, I think the advisory board that wrote this report, we had long conversations about where it fits. And so when it made it to the top, I didn't think it was all that surprising, no.
That's very interesting. Kelly, you've been agreeing all along as everybody's been talking. Kelly May Vollmer, superintendent of Palm Springs, it's beautiful La Quinta, California. Okay, Desert Sands Unified. Okay, go ahead. Tell us what you think about the SEL thing. And by the way, CETA, the State Ed Tech Directors Association, when they did a survey, okay, the number one use of funds, according from superintendents that they asked, was going to be an SEL, social and emotional learning. Okay, and you're a superintendent. Give us your point of view. You're a superintendent that's a technology guru here. Okay, a rare thing.
Yeah, I was actually a former chief technology officer, which is probably the funnest job I will have ever had.
It's rare that I don't love my current job that has that background. Most superintendents don't have that background. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's certainly helpful. You know, I would agree. I was not surprised at all to see SEL bubble to the top, not just because of the conversations on the advisory board, but just to echo what everyone else is saying, that we're seeing so much of a need coming out of the pandemic to support our students and our staff with resources and tools surrounding social emotional learning. And so one of the things that I think, you know, I don't want to reiterate everything everyone else has already said, but I will just highlight, you know, during this advisory board process, Keith Kruger, who you've mentioned a couple times, actually made a comment that I think is so pivotal to how we understand how SEL made it into a report like this, right? And that is that when we're thinking about technology, we have to think about how it either enhances or it gets in the way of being connected, right? And I think we've seen that. Like, we've seen benefits of technology, but we've also seen harms that come from technology. And so as leaders in this industry, and I appreciate the example previously about the monitoring, we really have to be attuned to whether or not our technology uses are enhancing or they're becoming a hindrance for our students. And I think that's really why it made it into this report.
Very interesting. And, of course, that's going to bring up artificial intelligence. Okay, is it beneficial or is it a hindrance? And I did a show earlier today with my friends from the Turnitin Company about that. Okay, because they have an artificial intelligence detector out these days to try to detect if students are using it. And you know, we just as an aside, we decided that, you know, the AI, it's not so much the answer that it can give you, but it's more the question you can ask it. If you can form the right questions, okay, that is an incredible use. Okay, teachers are used to getting answers to questions, but I think if we start letting the kids ask the questions and see what AI throws back at them, it's going to be a major change. And somebody else said that, you know, it's like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. We have to coexist with them, whether we like it or not.
Right.
All right. And that's what AI is about. It's coming. It's there. These kids, every kid from Lima, Peru, up to Seattle, Washington, okay, they're going to be in an AI future. All right. Yeah. And it better be a good one. All right. We have to train them for it. You know, it's
exactly.
It's we got to do it. And, you know, you said it before, we have to put emotion. We were half kidding before. But emotion, we got to make sure that the technology we use becomes beneficial to people. Okay, it's that simple and brings them together as opposed to separates them. All right, that's obviously what this whole thing is about. I have to ask you all another question, which is to me one of the scariest things out there. We want to drive K-12 innovation. That's pre-K-12 actually innovation. Okay, but in order to drive innovation, and this is where ChatGPT may come in even stronger, we need educators. And to build that digital ecosystem, okay, we need IT professionals like you, like the three of you, okay? But they're getting harder and harder to find to go into school districts, all right? And the number one hurdle that the Driving K-12 Innovation Report came up with is attracting and retaining educators and IT professionals, all right? And that's scary. And we'll start with the superintendent here. Okay, do you still have any hair left, or do you pull it out every day? Okay, you know.
I try not to pull it out.
Yeah, you look beautiful. Okay, so Kelly, talk about this. The number one hurdle: attracting and retaining educators, and not warm bodies. I'm talking about educators Okay,
right.
and also the high IT professionals that go with them. Talk about that from the superintendent's point of view. In this report.
Absolutely, and again, no surprise, right? Because we're not. It's not only. I think what's interesting about this is it is retaining educators and IT professionals, and so we have this dual problem of education was under so much fire and still is on some levels, and certainly could gear up again as we're approaching another election. It's become a different world to work in, right? I mean, the criticism and the intensity with which people are coming at educators makes the stress level of an already stressful job really incredible. And we're seeing people leave the profession in droves. So just hiring educators in and of itself is a concern. And then you couple that with IT professionals can get much higher paying jobs outside of education than they can in education. And so it makes it harder for us to attract those individuals into an educational environment that right now doesn't seem appealing to work in, and they can't get paid as much. That's asking a lot of someone.
It sure is. And by the way, while you've been saying that, Chris just got an offer from Google for $600,000.
Right.
Chris, you going to take that? Okay.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's a short commute. To Amazon. Okay, seriously, Chris. No, that's a real challenge, and you are a great IT professional, and you care about kids and all that sort of thing. But somebody like you is hard to find. And I won't say where. I talked to a district that had a job fair, and they were able to hire 40 new teachers. Okay, which sounds great until you find out that not a single one of them was certified. Okay, they just needed warm bodies. This was a fairly rural district in the southern state. Okay, and they said, they said they're just going to have to rehire people. They're just going to leave. Okay, after they spend all this money to train them, but they need. But we got a problem out there, and there's an interesting thing. And Chris, I'll ask you: can the IT side of it help How does that help retain teachers? Are teachers trained that they can really do all the digital stuff that we give them to work with? Okay, if teachers are happy, they stay where they are. And if we can find somebody, we got to be able to retain them. If teaching has changed, just talk about that interaction between IT and retaining teachers. Then you do it on every day, Chris. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Kelly alluded to kind of some of the culture wars in education, and those are unfortunate. And
they sure are.
So much of them.
I can't wait to hear all this from Jimena. This is going to be interesting about what's going on in Peru. Go ahead.
One of the things, and I think you've been alluding to it a lot, is artificial intelligence and what it's popped up in the last 4 months or 5 months and 6 months, whatever it is now. One of the big focuses that we're taking on that is not as much from the, kind of conversation you had earlier about the Turnitin or kids cheating, but what can this do to teacher workload? What can this do to save teachers time? Because we're constantly trying to find ways to utilize technology to help teachers not have to do so much. There's always things that constantly are put on teachers' plate. And so how can we figure out ways with technology to lighten that workload? And I think, we're already starting to see it, and it's not too far of a leap to see that there's going to be amazing tools coming out in the very, very near future that are going to significantly reduce the amount of time that teachers take on some of the tasks that they have to do. So, and it allows them to spend more time building relationships with kids, working on some of those, the emotional needs, the social emotional learning things that we talked about. And that, in a lot of cases, that's what teachers got into this for, to make a difference in a kid's life. It's not to deal with all the other things that are happening right now, crap. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so if we can do things on the technology side that remove some of the minutia of the day-to-day work of being a teacher, then that opens them up to do things that they really love, they really care about, and that helps them want to stick around. So
exactly,
that's how we're looking at it.
I'm just looking here, tech enabler, build a rich digital ecosystem in your school. okay, and make that work for the benefit of the teachers and the students, and you're getting way ahead of the game. And now we're going to shoot down to Lima, Peru. Amina, okay,
yes.
How does all this, okay, how are we doing in attracting and retaining educators, which is the number one hurdle from COSN? And again, this was a global survey, as well as people like you, IT professionals. How are we doing down in your home country?
I'll speak to my experience in the international setting.
Sure.
In my American school, for sure. Well, I think this is a worldwide crisis for sure. I think the international setting has an attractive side to it. Just by nature, you're traveling to a new country, you're visiting,
right,
learning from other cultures and so on. So it's a wonderful community, the international one. The teachers go from one school to the other, so we usually have friends in all the international schools, and that's a plus for sure. For the ITPs, I think it's really important for the IT professionals to be educators or to have a very strong education background, because it's always the technology is not leading just because it's technology. The technology is supporting the education so that the learning for the students can be richer, can be better, can be more engaging, can be faster, can be easier for the teachers to be very productive, and so on. So also the professional development that the school provides is really key in that retaining and having IT professionals. We are so fortunate in our school. We have 2 learning innovation coaches. One works in the elementary school and one works with middle and high. And so they are the ones providing PD to the teachers and sharing how you're going to use Padlet and Kami and how you're going to use the Google tools and so on. So that's a very, very big help. And in my years at school, what I've seen is by having a very strong technology program in school, we've seen some of our teachers leave our school and become IT directors or IT coordinators in other international schools. And because you need to have a passionate educator who has that knack for learning technology, for understanding technology, and for implementing and sharing with the teachers that the teachers don't feel threatened by the presence of a coach. So yes, and in general, in Peru, I think we have a major crisis of teachers and let alone IT, anything if there's not even the basic services at schools. Yeah.
We have, it is a crisis out there, and you just said something that struck me. You said that teachers, they see a coach, they become afraid, okay, and that's something that has to end, okay. If teachers, and I'm generalizing, a lot of teachers see a threat with anything that comes in and looks upon the work they're doing. That needs to stop, okay. Everybody thinks you're wonderful, okay. This is Teacher Appreciation Week up here in the United States. And believe me, everybody appreciates you. There's nothing to be scared of, but it's amazing when that happens, okay? And the new technology, okay? I was trained to be a teacher a long time ago before any of this, and even then we were always fighting against new things, okay? And it was just human nature, and it was wrong, all right? And we can't do that anymore. All of these things, like Chris was saying, all of these things, these can help you. Okay, this is going to help you. All right, and it's really just important things. You 3 have really done an excellent job today. I can't thank you enough for being here and giving me all your insights to everything, all this. I hope you had a good time. Chris, did you have a good time?
I had a great time. Thank you for having us, Larry.
You're welcome. Come back anytime. Kelly, okay, enjoy Palm.
Yes.
Everybody wants to go to Palm Springs. Enjoy living there and being the superintendent.
Hey, come on out and visit anytime.
Believe me, if I'm out there, I'll be at your door. We're a small family, 12 people. Okay, we'll only be there for the holidays. We'll come at New Year's and stay till Christmas. Okay,
that sounds perfect.
Perfect for me too. Okay, great. And Amina, this is great. Are you coming to Philadelphia?
Well, I hope to go soon. I've been there once at one of the Easter conferences, and I love the city so much. So thank you so much.
It's a great city. It's my hometown. Okay, and have a steak sandwich, but get a real one. Okay, not one at Pat's or Gino's. Just trust me on that. Okay, if you do get there. Okay, and by the way, I just want to. I'll end it this way. I have to tell all three of you. You'll all appreciate this being West Coasters. Okay, I have good friends down when they lived in Florida, and they took me out to a Peruvian Chinese restaurant. This was run by a Chinese gentleman, who had learned it was a Chinese restaurant in Lima, and then brought that to the Florida area, okay, down in southeastern Florida. And I love Chinese food, and I went for Peruvian Chinese food cooked by a Chinese gentleman who spoke Spanish and Chinese. And I have to tell you, it was rather different from what I was expecting as American Chinese food. Have you ever had Chinese food up here, Yamina, here in the States?
Well, I have, and Peruvian Chinese, it's a whole gourmet new thing that's only yes, it's we call it chifa, and it's one of the favorites in all of Peru.
Like here. Everybody loves Chinese food. Yeah,
yes,
it's unbelievable. Yeah. And Chris, you're up there. You're in one of the great Chinese American communities, okay, in Seattle. All right, Peruvian Chinese food. There you go, buddy. What do you think?
It's delicious.
I'm telling you, it's out there. And what I was amazed was that the gentleman, of course, it's just my stupidity. The gentleman was Chinese and spoke only Peruvian Spanish. It was absolutely great. What a great experience, It's a global enterprise out there, right? Just great. Yeah. Try it sometime, Kelly. Try it sometime.
Oh, I'm going to have to.
I'm telling you, it's great stuff. All right. All of you, thank you so much, and thank you for being part of COSN. I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, that's Keith and everybody. Thanks, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, buenos noches, buenos dias, buenos tardes. How's that? Is that right? Nobody's there. Jamina, how do I say this? Buenos, what do I say? Buenas
tardes or buenos días. Yes. Good morning.
That's what I was trying to say for my 9th grade Spanish. Buenos tardes, everybody. Thank you. Okay? Muchas gracias. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks.
What a great group. Wow. Okay, I am very impressed. Keith, Kate, you've done it again from COSN. Kelly Mae Boulder is the superintendent, Desert Sands. Okay, Palm Springs, La Quinta area of California. Chris Hagel is executive director of digital learning. I love that. Okay, at Peninsula School District, looking at Tacoma from the peninsula. And Pamina Nunez del Prado, what an interesting lady. Okay, she's the director of technology and learning at Colegio Franklin D. Roosevelt, the American School of Lima, Peru. Okay, thank you all for being here. Everybody check out what we do at ace-ed.org. I'm Larry Jacobs. Thanks for listening.